Hello and welcome back to the latest episode of Gina's Gems, where you get to meet the team behind the scenes, but not today. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with the former Director of Benefits Strategy at a defense contractor in the aerospace industry, Bob Restivo. Bob is here to share some gems about what to look for when partnering with a consultant. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Gina.
So good to have you. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
Would you mind kicking us off with a fun fact?
I guess the fun fact I'll say is when I got out of college, I wanted to be adventurous. And one of the things I did was we went camping, and unknown to us, we ended up climbing Mount Washington in New Hampshire. And we walked up Mount Washington with no concept of what we were doing. It has the most severe and worst weather conditions, and people do die up there. And young college kids, we moved forward and made it to the top and somehow survived, but it was not our greatest moment.
Thankfully, they didn't make a movie out of you guys.
No, it could have easily been a movie.
Well, that's the beauty of being young, right?
Yes.
Very resilient. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So, Bob, I understand in your previous role, you used a specialty advisor for your absence and disability programs, and that was different from who you used for your healthcare consultant. Can you explain why you did that?
Yes. So one of the things that I always believed is you do not put all your eggs in one basket. I was very concerned that we had the right strategic partners in each one of the areas. So I didn't want to put everything in that one basket. So I looked for strategic partners that were best in class in their industry. It's not good to go with flavor of the day and kind of chase after certain topics or certain themes, but rather to align yourself with partners that are really going to help you strategically meet your objectives. Now, one of the things that I really looked at was that you want to take it from a sports analogy. You want to put the best team on the field, but you don't need 9 shortstops. Mm-hmm. You need a good right fielder, a good left fielder, a good shortstop. What does that mean? I would go after and find the best in class at their specialty, and I would put them in a position so that they could best align with me strategically and help me meet my overall objectives. I felt if we threw everything into one organization, one group, I wasn't maximizing the opportunities to be strategic, but rather I was just giving one group all the business, and I didn't want to go there. So I strongly suggest understand your strategy, understand the partners are going to best align with you, and be careful to put all your eggs in one basket.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. We obviously agree with that. And I always love your analogies. One of my favorites is you don't have to marry everyone you date. So aligns with what you're talking about here. So as you know, insurance carrier renewals can be challenging, especially in a bad claims year. So what best practice recommendations do you have for those watching today when negotiating with a vendor?
Negotiating is one of my favorite topics. I always love to negotiate. I was very fortunate in my career that I had an opportunity to sit at the main table and on the company's negotiations with the unions, understand a lot of principles of negotiating. So let me give you a couple of my thoughts. The first thing that's really important is you need to establish your need to gets. What is it that you need to walk away from the negotiations with? Then there's also the nice to gets. And then there's the hope to gets. So the point is, you really have to understand going in, what are my need to gets? Once you know those kind of establish what I would call, if we were talking in a union relationship, a strike issue. The nice to gets and hope to gets are how do you position yourselves so maybe you get some of those, but really you want to walk away with nice to gets. Now, the other thing that's really important about negotiating is relationships. And if you're going to be in a relationship with a vendor and or a union and or some ongoing relationship, it has to be a win-win. Both parties have to walk away feeling they won. And if it comes out that you really took advantage of someone, it never works. The other side of that is when you go to buy a car. I never really care about the relationship at the end with the salesperson because I'm just absolutely focused on purchasing the car. I'm not looking for that relationship to continue. So you have to establish what kind of relationship are you going to have ongoing and what do you need to do to get there. You can't be afraid to walk away. You can't walk into a negotiations and say, I have to do this. You have to understand those need to gets and be willing to walk away. I always felt that you had to have 2 or 3 key need to gets and stay focused on them. Now, when you negotiate, a good other side negotiators will try to knock you off your game, get you out of your lane, and take you down a path that will get you where you're not focused. You must stay focused on your key objectives. If you don't do that, you will get distracted. Never negotiate against yourself. What does that mean? It means that people sometimes will come into a negotiations and give a proposal. And they don't have the patience or the understanding to wait. So they counter their own proposal back with another proposal that's less than the first one. So never negotiate against yourself. Don't be afraid to walk away, and try to also understand as quickly as you can, what are the needs of the other side? What are they trying to get? And how can you, if it's a relationship you want ongoing, how can you help them get there? But with that, be able to get your objectives and maybe even get some of those nice to gets because you're working to help them achieve their goals. You're actually could be achieving more of your goals. So keep focused. Don't negotiate against yourself. Be willing to walk away. And always, always, always remember, it's really important you understand the relationship you're in. Final thing, you have to know how to close. If you don't know how to close, you will always be looking for something else. You have to have an instinct and a knowledge that says, this is the best I'm going to do. I met my goals. It's a win-win. And be willing to say, we're done, and close the deal.
Yeah, those are some great nuggets. And as you know, there's really an art to it. And we know you are a very artful negotiator. So thank you for sharing those. So lastly, I'd love to know, do you have any pet peeves about brokers / consultants that you would like to share, or recommendations of what they should or could do better?
Well, the first thing I would say is you don't want to be the training ground for brokers and consultants. And what I mean by that is they come in and they have one person that speaks and 8 people that sit in the room and you're paying for everyone. So you don't want to be the training ground. You want to make sure that they have a vision and a strategy that aligns with yours. So you don't want to just jump into it and just go wherever they want to go. What I always did was I wanted the consultant, the broker, the vendor to lay out strategically their vision, their thoughts, what they saw going forward, and see if it aligned with where I was going. That's where I came up and used it earlier. You don't marry everyone you date. And the reason I say that is, it doesn't mean they're not a good vendor, and it doesn't mean you're not a good company. It just means that you're not strategically aligned. The other thing that I was always a pet peeve is, the first thing a vendor or a consultant or a broker comes in and says, what do you need? And my response is, no, I'm not giving you the answers to the test. You come in and tell me, what is your strategy? What is your vision? Where do you see that going in the future? I want a strategic partner that would take the analytics, take the data, and tell me what the opportunity is that I can maximize. I want them to say, here's your opportunities, Bob. Here's what we can do for you. And then let me decide which ones I may or may not want to pursue. I have to understand it from a culture perspective. But I don't want to give you all the answers to the test. That's not how we're doing. I don't have to have a book read to me. Don't have people come in and just give you a bunch of data. Have them tell you what are the opportunities that they see, and see how they understand those opportunities and how they could align strategically with you. The last thing is, don't be enamored with a good salesperson. There's sometimes some really slick salespeople come in and they give you a lot of good stuff. And you're like, wow, that was a really good meeting. And you realize it's because they were a really good speaker. But the reality is they're not the doers. You want to understand who are the doers And is that account executive going to be aligned strategically and fit into your culture going forward? You must have that relationship, because some account executives will not align with your culture and your organization, and it'll be a bust. So be really conscious of where are they strategically, where are they going with their vision, what are they helping you with opportunities? Because it comes back to the first question: how are they strategically aligned, and how are they going to help you as a professional get your organization to meet your goals and objectives to provide better benefits for your employees?
Awesome. This is great information. Really appreciate you being here and sharing your wisdom and insights. It was a real pleasure for me, and I have no doubt the audience will enjoy and appreciate your words of wisdom. So for those of you watching, we are taking a hiatus for the summer, so enjoy the next few months, and we'll see you back here after Labor Day. Thanks so much, Bob.
Gina, it was my pleasure. Have a great day.